Kurranji, Rainforest Guide by Suzanne Lennox. I am Kurranji, Queen of Garbagada on the Daintree coast. My procreation duties are light and my rainforest gardening does not take up too much of my time, so I decided to take on the responsibility of Rainforest Guide to the many tourists who visit my home. While there are training courses available and Cert 3s to study, I have lived here my whole life, and stories from millennia have been passed down to me by my ancestors, so I appointed myself expert guide. My favourite haunt in this ancient land is around a place called Mudja, which means rainforest or jungle. I roam from the coolness of the hills to the mangroves alongside the creeks. I like to bathe in the creek called Noah. It is called Nuwu in the Eastern Gugu Yulanji language. During the tourist season, many groups come to enjoy the amazing diversity of plant life, from ancient plant lineages to rare and endemic species. Some of these plants are simple and have not changed in millions of years, but others are more complex with clever adaptations. One very rare plant with a limited range is even named after me because its seeds need to pass through my gut to ensure germination. It is called Rhyperosa Kurranjii. A couple of years ago, a strange thing occurred. The tourists suddenly stopped visiting and stayed away for a long time. The cause of this was a great mystery to me and made me sad because I had become used to their presence. The rumour was that a strange pestilence had visited the humans and they had retreated to their homes. I cannot speak the languages of these tourists, but that is okay because there are information boards along the boardwalk, so I'm mainly here for the wow factor. At the beginning of the boardwalk, I arrive from the creek called Nuwu and follow my track across the tourist path into the forest. Some tourists are lucky enough to spot me as I cross the path, because once I enter the forest I am very well camouflaged, even though I am brightly coloured. I can sit still and nobody even notices me. The rainforest is full of sound. There are always birds singing, tiny crabs clicking their nippers, reptiles scurrying along, frogs croaking, and sometimes spectacled flying foxes hanging from the trees, continually chattering. I make an impressive sound when I walk through the leaf litter. It is a heavy crunch, 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 crunch. My sound is distinctive with a pleasant rhythm, unlike the chaotic scratchings of the scrub hens. I pass the pandanus with their characteristic chewed leaves and know that peppermint stick insects are lurking within. I look up and see delicate orchids flowering during their season. Sometimes there is a tree kangaroo high in the canopy, snoozing the day away. I look through the mangroves to see different barks and flowers, the beginning of a new propagule and the big cannonball seed pods. Everything is continually changing. My favourite place was around an ancient strangler fig that arched over the boardwalk. The tourists liked to pose for photographs next to it, but I loved it for the big red fruits that were often on the ground around it. They are from the endemic black palm, but I also love cassowary plums and blue quandong. And then one day the old fig fell over, exposing its roots, and then it died. The rainforest creatures quickly began the process of recycling this massive fig, each creature responsible for its special role in the process. The beetles, other insects, bacteria and fungi decomposed different components of the fig. The tourists notice some of these things, but their biggest thrills when they first spot me. "Look, it's a cassowary," they whisper and start fiddling with their phones. Sometimes I just sit a couple of metres off the path and start to groom myself, running my beak through my glossy black feathers. I sit with my feet spread out before me, my gloriously taloned feet on full display. "Look at its huge feet," they exclaim, clicking away. I don't like walking on the plastic parts of the boardwalk, but the smooth concrete path feels good on my feet. So I do my majestic heel-to-toe crossover walk with a horde of tourists following me at a safe distance. Hey, I could be a catwalk model. I track through the mud between the pneumatophores of the mangroves at low tide, my big feet keeping me from sinking too far into the mud. The tourists watch enthralled, safely on the bridge above me. They are so captivated that few notice the thick vine coiling anti-clockwise around a buttressed tree at the end of the bridge. Sometimes I leave the boardwalk to check out the road. The traffic mainly arrives in pulses because the tourists have to cross the Daintree River on the cable ferry to reach my kingdom. I hope that the fathers of my offspring teach them good road sense and they always cross the road safely. But me, I'm a star. I am an icon, an influencer, a leading figure on social media platforms. I'd like to be photographed. I usually hang alongside the road picking up fruit and sliding it whole down my throat until the cars stop and a crowd gathers, cameras at the ready. I then sashay across the road, showing off my best features. The crowd oohs and ahs. But my finest Instagrammable moment came when I happened across a dead white-tailed rat on the road. Obviously, he had no road sense. Although I am a frugivore, I don't mind the occasional meal of fresh roadkill. It was peak tourist season and a sizable crowd had gathered. The phone cameras were readied as I strutted towards my intended meal and had a preliminary peck at the dead rat. Ooh, went the crowd. Peck. Oh, yuck. Another peck. Disgusting. Peck, peck. The crowd was beside itself with disgust and excitement, madly photographing and videoing. "That's the biggest bloody rat I've ever seen," exclaimed one man, intending to dine out on the story of his cassowary experience for years to come. Post-meal, I casually sauntered back into the rainforest, leaving the crowd to disperse after their Daintree cassowary encounter. I had put on a great show. It was one of my finest tourist moments. I wonder how many likes I got online for that performance.